Hey guys, so welcome to the InvestedPro videocast. I have with us Felix Frey. He has a background in hedge funds and options trading, and Luca Moschini, who's a technical analyst, and he specializes in day trading and swing trading. Today we're going to go through several names, but at first I'd like to mention that Luca had recently made a big trade on Tesla in early January before we saw a big climb up over the first 3 or 4 weeks of January, where it hit some resistance around the 200 mark. Luca, can you show us what you saw at that point in time and what helped you make that decision and what our audience should be looking for?
Sure, absolutely. Let me, hello everyone, Luca. Let me show you my screen so you can see the charts I'm looking at. Back with Tesla, we had this conversation with Felix and Michael the other day. And so we were talking back in January, we saw the price descending very heavily. 2022 was terrible for Tesla between, Elon Musk making his decision a controversial decision to purchase Twitter. And so then price went all the way down to, 101, that was the low. So right around here, when it was December, price was oversold. We spotted our pool activities, which is something that it's an exchange, it's a hidden exchange that they monitor regularly. And we spotted some activity and we entered a trade, a swing. We usually swing trades with 3 targets. And that trade didn't work because then it pulled back. It worked a couple of days and then rolled over, you can see. And then on January 6, they took it down. As you can see, this day, opened lower, and it went down to 101. There was another dark pool activity. I sent a message to the group. This is a buy, because they did it once, twice, and 3 times. At this level, we re-entered, and from that point on, started to trade. As you can see, we entered was around 108, 110, somewhere around the level. And then here across the ATMA, this is the orange line that I always watch as a trigger point. As long as it remains above it and close above it, for us, it's still a long position. When it closes below it, it's kind of an indication, time to close the position or at least heal some off. So it also depends on your strategy. Our strategy was a swing trade, and the targets we had 126, 139, and the 50 SMA. So at that point, this blue line was approaching the 154. But the bulls were so strong because price in 2022 came down so heavily that every drop was an opportunity to go higher. As you can see here, there was a red candle. We always look for the sell signal. Red candle here, 1 day down, 2-day consolidation, and then they took it higher. They broke the 50 SMA, and from that point on, they kept on pressing. Even just where we are now, so there was a pullback here on the 18th of January, here on the 30th of January, and then last week. 2, 3, 4 days, still an opportunity to go higher. And as you can see, this orange line, which I always watch, this the ATMA, has been remaining below it, offering a good support. So for me, as long as I see price continuing to remain above the ATMA, this still has potential to go a bit higher. Now it's a bit of extended. There was some news today of a recall. That's why we saw a little bit of sell today, intraday. Not significant, looking at this little chart here. It's not a significant drop, but something to monitor. So tomorrow or today, if it moves below the ATMA, the orange line, and doesn't recover, it's gonna head down to test the mid channel, which at this point comes somewhere around 197 and then 189. Those 2 are the supports I'm watching at this moment. Any break below 189, especially this low here on the 13th, February 13th, if it breaks below that, it's gonna pull back further.
How much higher can it go?
How much higher? I think my next target is 230 and the 200 simple, the moving average, the red line. That would be a big resistance. If we look back, let me clear all this noise, makes it a little clearer. So the 200 SMA, where did it sit above it and held? So we have to go back May 22nd. So then that became a big resistance through here, the August levels, August through October. So it's going to be a big resistance at that point. Will it break or will it hold? I think it's going to wait for price to meet the 200, and at that point we'll know. So I'm looking like 3 weeks.
So how do you actually trade that? You just stay long. For someone just trying to get in right now, do they just buy it here and then use?
Okay, so it depends on the strategy. If you're a swing trader, I don't think this is the ideal place to enter, because the upswing will be, so right now is 211, the 200 SMA is 236. We are talking $25.
Yeah.
And the drop could be just as big to the ATMA and 190. So you're risking 25 to make 25. Is not, wouldn't be a good trade for me as a swing trader.
I understand. Let me show you my screen. I'm just going to show you how I look at things so we can kind of, yours is very detailed. It's good. I get a lot from it, from it's like the daily, it's the real quick stuff. I tend to look at, let me see here. Can I?
Let me stop sharing.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. So I'll just show you quickly how I look at the world. So this is what I look at. So the first thing I do is look at Tesla 5 years out, 2 to 5 years, trying to understand, I look at these stocks and to me, it has life, right? It has a pulse. It's doing something. It's has history at certain levels, at certain stock levels. So I'm constantly trying to find these pivots, these horizontal lines that I can draw and say, you know what, something's kind of going on right around there. So the first thing I do is I'm looking at somewhere around here. So we had this sort of flag going on here, but then from here, this was always this level that I've been looking at here, right? It's about 205-ish, 205, right here. Now, when it came over here, it was having a little bit of trouble, came back, there was resistance, came down. So I'm looking at 205, I'm looking at the 102 level, okay, here. Just put that red, and then over here, you mentioned this level. This happens to be around 310 as well, 310, 312-ish, okay? So what I look for is I'm trying to frame it, right? Because in options, I'm an options guy. So I'm trying to find what are the boundaries, what are areas that are important to the trader. And so this helps me sort of visualize what can happen. All right, there's possibilities. Sure, it can go to 400, but I'm going to say the one standard deviation over the course of a year, it's going to be around where the red lines are, these first big moves. In the meantime, like you said, you have the 20-day, the 50-day, the 100-day. So I'm looking at this and saying, okay, well, the first thing I see is that there's this symmetry here, right? So I like symmetry. I believe in symmetry. I believe that for whatever, I have no reason to know why it happens, but symmetry is always around, right? And you have from 102 to 207 is 105. And from 207 to 312 is 105. So the 105-point difference up and down here. So I look at that. I keep notice of that. I also look at the bigger downtrend lines. So I look at this, and then what I'll do is I'll also say, let me extend that, because I never know exactly where the downtrend lines are. So I'm constantly trying to, act like a kindergarten kid and draw these lines, right? This is the major tops I'm putting together. So I'm doing something like that, but then I'm also, trying to figure out, like, how is that extended? Because again, I don't know when that chart will be live again. So I have these lines at 305, again, sort of matches this symmetry, these red lines. So that matches this. I could see that this line matches right where Luca was saying, right around I believe it's the 50-day moving average, right around the 200-day moving. Which one is it? 200.
The
200 is right around there, which is also sort of a line right over here, which would get me, I'm looking at something like this, and, let me show you here what I'm looking at, because I see this here. Put that back to something like this. Okay, so I'm looking at, where's my thing? Sorry. Let me go here. Build this trend line right here. So I'm looking at here, and then I'm also looking at this right here, where, you know, again, you have a large, this is a weekly. So I'm trying to figure out where these levels, where potentially these levels, and there's one right here. So we came back down here, we came back here. My point is that this could look like a little bit like a reverse head and shoulders on a long-term chart, which would take it, you know, because I'm trying to figure out, how is it going to get to 300? Is it just going to go from 100 to 300? That's hard. That's a hard sell for me. Okay. So will it try to push lower and then bounce? Maybe. So this to me is one possibility.
Felix, what is your time frame? Like
So
you look
sure.
in-
So I also look at, again, symmetry. So I'm looking at, let me just change the colors to blue here. So I'm looking and I'm trying to, you know, again, just framing the story, framing the chart. So this is about 3 months. So I'm looking at, again, another 3 months. So we're talking about end of March, early April. Okay. Which I think would get earnings. You probably get some Tesla earnings somewhere around there as well, again, in April. I don't know the exact date. So that's what I'm sort of looking at now. Can it completely crap out here and head back down to 150? Sure. It's a possibility as well. I think with the shorts coming in here, again, this blue line right here, this horizontal line, you know, I've been telling customers, like, there's going to be a dogfight here. It's not going to be easy for both sides. You know, 200, 210 is a dogfight. It's, you know, okay, the shorts were in control for about 3 months. Like Luca said, he hits the low, it takes off. And we get back to this 207, 205, call it 200 to 210. And you can see how things are starting to move up and down. It's changing its pulse, if you will. The stock is fighting here, down and up, down and up. The shorts are coming in. The shorts say anything moves up 100%. Even myself, I'm programmed. Anything moves up 100%, I'm thinking, okay, I want to see a pullback. But we got a 20-point pullback, and it immediately shot back up, you know, in the last week and a half. So when you look at something like this, nobody knows. You're just trying to frame it, and this is how I'm doing it. I'm trying to frame it. So in order to play options, I'm an options guy. So now once I've done this, I got to play options. I asked Luca, what do you think? I like his thinking. It's like up 20, 25, down 25. It's like, not sure that's the best bet, right? Because if we take this out and we switch it to a daily, you know, now you could start doing you got to shrink sort of the boundaries a little bit, right? And he's looking at, heard him say, this sort of level here, you know, and, you know, you got this level here, 170. You can see what happened. You could see this stop right here. I mean, I'm just showing you what has happened here, right? This is a pivot level, was a low, traded up, and then you see some action right here where it sort of stops, right? It has memory here. So 170, 190 now is a level that's tough to get through, right? I mean, the shorts, anybody trying to short it here got stuck and the bulls took them back. So it's very strong stock right now. It's not something that I want to be short here, or I want to even, I don't like being long, and I'm not sure I like being short. But what I will tell you is that I'm respecting this sort of area right in here, the 205, 200 to 210. To me, I'm going to respect that as an area that has a lot of history here, a lot of support, broke through, resistance, broke down, came up, and it's having a fight here. So I'm going to respect that. I don't know what the next move is, but one trade that I liked was, how can I play this March 1st Investor Day? It's a big day. This is, you know, Master Plan 1, 2, and now Master Plan 3. He's not going to go up there and just say, we're going to come up with a $20,000 car, 10,000. He's coming out there with a 10-year vision. You know, imagine what he told us about full self-driving years ago, and he's been building towards that. Did he make it? No, but damn, they're getting pretty close. I mean, you have GM's company out there. You have Amazon with their potential taxi. It was in the news today that they're putting out these autonomous taxis. So we're damn close. Like, and you know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago when he said that, people were like, no chance. but we're getting there. So again, $10,000 course, it's not going to move the needle. I think if the board of directors had their head on straight and they could tell them what to say, AI is so important right now. You just, Microsoft up 20%, or what was it? Maybe 15, 20%. I don't know. Look at the chart, but you're talking about 50% on a $2 trillion stock. They added $300 billion of market cap. If he comes in there, Tesla is AI, right? That he's been talking about AI for years, but it's not like you can show it in a chat box, which, by the way, they're proving now that may not even work, right? Because it's not coming up with the right answers. But AI is in all these stocks like Palantir, IBM. All these guys they've been doing AI forever and their products, but you can't see it. If he can somehow show AI is the car, man, this thing could be explosive. You see what they've done to Microsoft. 20% on Tesla would be, a $40 pop. Can they do that? Will he do that? I don't know, but I want to be able to somehow sit myself around here for the next, now it's 6 days before the 24th, and then play the move. Things are getting
Felix,
expensive.
during this time,
Yeah.
since you trade options, is there something you can do? Like if the price remains within this band,
Yes.
can you trade like a straddle,
so-
one of those?
So,
What do you
so
do?
let me show you. So let me show you here. I'm going to show you. So on the chart, in the forum, I'm throwing out ideas. I'm trying to get people interested in some of these. Usually I'm playing long calls and long puts.
Mhm.
Lately I've been doing a little bit more calendar spreads because of what's happening here. But we have a Tesla thread going on here that we're throwing out research, charts, thoughts. Positive, negative, just to get people thinking. This is a chart we're looking at here. So I started talking about the master plan when I saw the thing, but this is the idea. This is the idea here. Interesting trade idea. Sell. I wanted this was 6 days ago. I want to sell the February 24th options, and I want to buy the March 3rd options. March 1st is the master plan release. Okay, so I'm going to straddle those dates. So the event is in the middle. I'm going to buy the date that has the event, and I'm going to sell the date that doesn't. For whatever reason, I spotted that there was only a small difference in volatility between the two. And that shouldn't be. That should not have happened. It was there for a good 24, 48 hours, and then it went from 3 implied vols to like 8, 9. It's probably about 10 now. Okay, so the spread is starting to widen because people are realizing March 1st is coming. It's going to be a big event. People are going to be buying the March 1st options like crazy, likely. And February 24th is going to sort of die in the vine as the markets, probably Tesla finds this 20-point move.
Are they gonna buy long or buy puts?
So it doesn't matter. The beauty is that it doesn't matter. You just want to buy the same strike with the same put or call. So in this case, I gave the example, the 210 calls, the 210 strike calls, where I would sell the 24th 210 calls, and I would buy the March 3rd calls, 210 calls. So you're doing that time spread, and I pay, it was only 3.25, about 3.25. So I bought some, and I told people, this is a really good trade if you don't know where Tesla's going, right? Which I don't know where Tesla's going, so this is a really good trade. Just going to sit there, and even at the end, and I go through the surrounding and saying, look, anywhere between 190 and 210, you probably make some money. 190 and 230. You probably make some money. So it's a wide range, gives you a nice wide range.
If it stays within the move.
190 and 230. If it's at 210, so the way you got to think about this is how much is Tesla going to be worth at 210, right? On Friday, February 24th. How much is that call option, the 1 week at the money call option for Tesla going to be worth? Probably $14, $12 to $14. So if we land on, if you play pin to tail on a donkey and you land at 210, that spread is going to go to about, let's call it 12 to 14 bucks. You pay 3. You make, 400%, 300 to 400%. It's a nice trade. It's a nice trade. But what happens if it doesn't? It's hard to pin the tail on the donkey, and at 210, especially on this donkey, Tesla, right? So you're at 190. How much is the 210 calls going to be worth at 190? Right now, you can do all the type of Black Scholes modeling you want, but at the end of the day, I simply just go back to like how much, and this master plan is going to be like the earnings. So how much is the 110 or 20%, $20 out of the money call going to be worth 1 week before earnings? What you find out is I did it for you without taking you through that. It's about $3. 190 will be around $3. So down 20, up 20, around, let's just call it around $3. That's what it's likely to be. Okay. Now, between 190 and 330, it's going to get closer to, it's going to start moving like a triangle, like a pyramid, up to 14. So you have this range. And I'm using, so knowing the option, that's the options analysis, meaning the spread. I caught that. That was the trade. So I want to get into that spread. But then what I'm doing is I'm going back to this. I'm basically saying, you know, we're in this dogfight here, and it's likely, you know, over time, the market has a way of getting right to like the resistance support level right before the earnings, or the resistance support level right before a big event, because it's the place where there's max pain either way for one side, right? And so this is max pain. 205 would be max pain for the day before master plan, right? It would be like, okay, now, like, it's either going to go up $50 or it's going to go down $50. Like, nobody knows. If we don't like what he says, it's going to get killed. If people love it, they're going to buy it up. So I'm playing 200, 210 as a range, 190, 193.30. Oh, I'm sorry, 192.30 as this outer range where, you know, I'm not making any money. And below, by the way, below 190, say it gets to 180. Okay, I'm going to lose $1.50, but I now have the stock at 180 where I want to buy it, where I want to get in at around 170. So I lose $1.50, but now I can get bigger on some sizing on something else that I want to do. So in a way, I look at this as I call it a placeholder, where I don't want to be long. It's too much of a move. It is strong, but I don't want to be long. I don't want to be short here because it could just completely blast off. But you know what? If I want to play it short, this is a nice way for me to play it short, where I can actually win good money just by it hanging in there. So I don't want to be long. I'd rather be short here, even though it's strong, but I'm scared to be short. And I'm using this trade to try to make 200-300% just by sitting down. And again, part of what I told people was the key to this trade is not to look. Here, it's right here. The key to the trade is not to look. A one lot will cost you $300, and that's the most you can lose. Open your eyes on February 21st and see where Tesla is. Then you can adjust if necessary. Okay, so I tell people, don't look. 9 days, 10 days. It's, you know, 6 days ago, so we've got another 5 days. So it's a 10-day trade before you even look at it. I don't want you to, like, you know, you don't take the 10% trade. You don't take, you know, 3 goes to 4, don't take it. 3 goes to 5, don't take it. Just wait till the 21st, 3 days before that Friday. And the spread is going to start either, what'll happen is the Februaries will start collapsing, going way down, and the Marches are going to stay bid. And so that spread is going to widen. So you have a spread today, and that spread is going to go as the Februaries go down because of decay and goes toward time to value is going to go away. The March is not going to go down. It's going to stay bid. It might even go up. And so that's why that spread widens. And so that's the trade here. You know, usually I'm not giving these trades. This is a more professional type of trade, but I try to explain it so the layman can understand and say, look, do a one lot. The best is if you're new, do a one lot, $300. The most you can lose. Just watch how it works. Watch how it starts widening. Today, that spread is 3.25. 6 days ago, it traded about 5.25 today. So it's just widening out. So again, it's like selling options, but without the high risk of getting blown up if something goes, haywire. Does that make sense?
I mean, it sounds like we are green. It's not going to move much.
Exactly. It is. And so what I'm seeing is kind of the same thing. I'm just trying to play it in a way that I can make money just by kind of sitting here.
Oh, sure. Just by watching it.
Exactly.
Or not watching it.
Or not watching it. Exactly. Closing your eyes is the key there. That's cool. But Tesla is good. I mean, you talk about AI, you have to have been seeing, all this other stuff like Microsoft and Google and AI, the other stuff. I didn't even know AI existed. What, C3.ai or something like that?
Company. Yes, the ticker. Yeah.
That stock has been on fire. I mean, are you watching that?
So AI was one of our swings that came on my scanner. Let's see, January 27, 28. Can't remember exactly what happened that day, but there was a big volume increase. Let me show the chart so you guys can
Yeah.
see what we're looking at.
Okay, thank you.
Again, I always look at dark pool activity. So when I get that kind of notification, I pay close attention.
And
So
what are
there
you looking
was-
for in the dark pools? Like what exactly, when you say I'm looking for the dark, like what are you looking for? Is it a
I'm
service
looking for
that you're
large
getting
orders, large orders. So there is like, for example,
pre-market?
it comes all day long.
Okay,
Generally pre-market, but also throughout the regular session. So there's
Okay.
these large orders. Can't remember exactly, like Palantir, for example.
Okay.
Yesterday and the day before, 3.8 million and 2.8 million around. One was at 920 and one was at 10, somewhere around that. So that was a swing
Interesting.
for us. But since we are talking about AI, this like around here, when he made this move through the 200 SMA and then did the pullback, there was a volume increase. There was some activity in the dark pool activities exchange. So that for me was indicative, especially because this thing was down heavily the whole year basically. And AI was starting to be like a topic of conversation, just like you're saying, Microsoft came up with this purchasing the chat GPT, whatever that stuff is. And so it was just like AI, left, right, center. So this company, which I've been following for a while, has been in the toilet. And as you can see, it bottomed out around 10. You never want to catch a falling knife, right? So this is like, yeah, it's been bottoming out for the entire year since basically it became public. Right, look at this. And so, when it became public was around 80, or was that?
Sure.
No, even higher, I think. Yeah, no, 180. I mean, that's ridiculous. So a big disappointment. And but then it started some recovery effort. We saw a move above the 50 SMA, the blue line. That's significant. That's a line that most asset managers watch around the globe. So that was a key point. At that point, I wasn't really paying that much attention because it was still vulnerable to rollover. And then it started moving to the next level, 13, and then to the next level, 15. And then it broke the 200. That was key for me. Again, we also saw the volume increase. And then since then, look at the volume that we saw for the past week or so. So this for us, let me take a closer look. And if I remove like this recent rally, let's see. Okay, so you see the volume increase.
Yeah.
It was almost nothing, and then a big one here, and then this big one right here. This is when we enter. We opened, it passed the Friday high, January 27 at 18. I think we entered around the 1920, 1950. And that day already was starting to work. Volume increase and rally to several targets, the 22, the 25, and then went as high as almost 29. That, for me, that was done. It was like a weak swing, reached almost all 3 targets, done. And then did the one last push with this dodge at the top. Usually when you see that kind of pattern, dodge at the top is an indecision. When you get the indecision after a rally, generally is the end, especially if he opens lower. You open lower and he went down. They took it down, got a little bit of a bounce, and then there was another wave down. So the way I'm looking at this one right now, I think still has potential, but at the moment, I'm expecting some more consolidation. We are out of this trade at this point, but looking for a possible re-entry. So the re-entry for me will be if you break around this 27 and hold. So this would be the triangle top. But I want to see more volume. So I'm expecting a side of consolidation above the 80 That's again the line I always watch in terms of short-term trading, meaning a week or so. That's around 23.50. So if he holds like that, makes maybe some lower shadows, that's buying like a hammer, buy, and then eventually breaks 27, I will consider entering. But again, I want to look at the dark pool activity, see if there is some kind of underlying large positions that institutions are taking. Recently, I haven't found any significant, unusual large orders. Compare, for example, Palantir, where we did see Palantir does the AI.
Yeah.
I'll show the chart. So Palantir is a swing at the moment for us.
It seems like for a while, as news comes out around AI, there's going to be some excitement, and that might drive some more swing trades your way.
Are you referring to AI, the company ticker?
Just in general.
In
Just
general,
yeah.
Oh, for sure, as
yeah.
potential for sure.
Yeah.
And again, just like Felix was saying, like people are talking about this stuff right now.
It's
almost
AI,
like the crypto, frenzy.
Exactly. Well, I one thing I would show, because when you look at some of these names, here, let me share my screen here. Okay, here we go. Perfect. Let me share. Okay, so what I did was at Options Geek, to take a step back, is to help the average investor really understand how to think about options and how to choose the option that they want to buy. So there is no education in the world that teaches you how to choose the right option. Okay, and which is an incredible statement. Okay, an incredible statement. Think about how much education is out there. Think about how many people are trading with real money. Think about, we're talking about Robinhood has at one point 5 million people trading options. Now there's maybe a couple of million. Okay, they're buying options, selling options. I can ask any one of them, any one of the millions, how do you actually choose the one that is the right one for you? And no one, everybody has an answer. A lot of times it's I have no idea, I guess, or I'm seeing a volume, but there is no answer, or there hasn't been an answer given on how you actually do it. And so at Options Geek, my education starts with that. It starts with, hey, I've spent 20 years on Wall Street at the top investment banks. I worked at a top hedge fund, and I'm an expert in options. I'm an expert in, for sure, I'm an expert in how the options industry has taught it over the last 50 years. That's what I did at Bank of America. I was one of the largest market makers at Bank of America with billions behind me in capital. But when a client would call me up and say, I like AI, I think it's going higher, which one should I buy? I could say it now. I would never have said it back then, but I could say it now. I don't know how to answer that question. Like I have, there's certain things I could say, and there's certain ways I could say it on the, in the way that the investment banks think about it. But, that's a tough question. And if you ask any professional out there, any single one, you'll see them squirm in their seats. If you ask them, which is the right option that we should be buying? There's no answer. Okay. Trust me, there's no answer. So when I look at this, what I built here is something to give you that answer, to help you figure out what that answer might be. Now, what this machine did, what I did here was a little bit like what Robinhood was trying to do, like let's dismiss most of the strikes, right? Let's just dismiss a lot of strikes. In this case, the machine has left this one open and this one open. This is sort of the range, and something like, just to give you an idea, let's just look at, I don't know, let's look at Tesla, March. So we're looking at March. I'm going to this is the options. This is your options board. I shaded it. In Tesla, this is the window to look at, right? So it's sort of looking at this window and helping you say, all right, forget about anything else. If you like calls, the big boys, they're playing in here. If they like puts, the big boys, they're playing in here. You see 12,000 there. That's where they're playing. Okay. Over here, you see all the in-the-money options in Tesla, very low volumes. The big boys don't play in there. So what it does is immediately separates where you should be looking. Okay. So let's go back to AI for a second, because that's what we're looking at. And we're at AI, and we want to look at, let's just go 1 month out, has the earnings. Sorry, I keep pressing that button.
Yeah, AI doesn't have a lot of.
So it doesn't have a lot of strikes. So, it's narrowed down the strikes to basically these types of strikes. Now, we're seeing some volume here and here. Okay, so I'm going to take this off here. We're seeing volume here, 5,000, 5,000. I'll get to that in a second. But essentially, before I do that, what I'm trying to say to you is I created this yellow column, the RR dollar. It's called the risk reward break even price. It's basically giving you an idea of where you should be thinking the stock is going if you want to play options. So if you want to play options in AI, you better tell me something better than $45 to be in here, $38. You see this range right? See the number here, 3307? in order to be buying the 25 calls, in order to buy the 25 calls, you got to be telling me something that AI is going above 33, 34, 35, 36, 37. Okay. Because if I say 32, you see that pointer? It's not going to land. You're trying to get it to land here, but you're not trying to force it. Of course, I could just go up there and force it and say, okay, 35, 36, right around here, 38. So somewhere between 34, 38 is going to get me into the, I'm not trying to do that. What I'm trying to get people to do is think about where you think it's going. So if we look at the AI chart, right, that he just showed, can I get to 33? Can I get to 34? Is that something that we can look at and say, that makes sense, right? And if you look back, it's like, all right, well, when was the last time it was that high? It looked like around here, and again, I just start drawing stuff like this. I'm saying, okay, there's clearly something going on at this level, right? You got something going on here. And then maybe there's something kind of stopped around here, call it, somewhere around here, which is about the 37 level. And then we stopped here recently at 30. So, okay, so it has some history. And if I'm looking at this move, if we get a high move, I tend to I really don't look at many things. I look at horizontal lines. I look at Elliott wave. I look at Fibonacci, okay, and I look at simple volume, price, and these horizontal pivot lines, if you will. So if you look at something like this and you say, all right, it's come back in, can it actually get there? Can it actually get to, I'm going to go off the page here. So I'm just going to move it from around 20 to about here, and voila, we're sort of, I'm just trying to see if something makes sense. So if I'm looking at this chart and I'm saying, all right, Luca, where could it go? You want to break, it breaks 27. How much can this keep going? Well, if you're going to tell me somewhere, well, maybe around 35, 30, 36, 38,
38, channel top.
38. Okay. So then I stick in 38 in here and it points to right around the 20. It's kind of saying 26, 27. So you look at the 25 and you would pay 330 for these options. It's probably going to give you the right option. So just by seeing 38, it's giving you're landing here and you're in the right area to be thinking. But if you said 32, it's not going to work. You're below here. You need to be above. You need this pointer to be here or above. And people tell me, but it's hard to do that. And I say, it's supposed to be hard to do that. Okay, it's supposed to be. Otherwise, everybody would be trading options. And the myth is that these options guys, they trade millions of options and they trade in every single name. And it's not true. Every hedge fund, all right, may have like 100 stocks, 50 to 100 stocks, and they pick maybe 3 to 5, max 5 on most of them, on 80% of them that use options. First, you got to have the hedge funds that use options, which is a small percentage. Then 80% of them will have positions on options, and less than 5 names. Go look. I mean, I have here, I'm always looking, at different homes. This is the Saudi Arabia, because I was looking at Lucid, and it'll say options. They don't have any here, but you take a look at like, let's say Electronic Arts, Take Two, because that's a hot name, Take Two, options, JP Morgan, that's a bank, 0.72, Steve Cohen, small amount, and so I'm looking at this, who owns options, but it's a myth that these players, these options players, that they're in every single stock with options. It's not the case. They're very specific in in the names they're looking at. And as I sat with the guys, I sat next to 2 billionaires. When I'm sitting next to them, I'm trying to understand, why did you choose options on this name and not on that name? Why did you choose this strike and not on that strike? And I was trying to back into their thinking and their thought process. And that's what this machine does. So this machine thinks like Steve Cohen, okay? It thinks like the top hedge funds in the world. So again, 38 works. Some people come in and say, well, I think it can go to like 30. 30 is not good enough, not going to work. Now,
hey, Felix, going back to your chart there, because when we're looking at where this stock could go, would you consider going further out in terms of expiration?
Yes. But if you do that, go ahead. Finish your question. I'm sorry.
Because looking at the recent move, it was a quick spike in January here, but looking back, it was just a slow, steady decline.
Yeah, it's a good question. The funny thing about what I'm about to show you is that everybody says, oh, just go get more time. time costs money in options. And so they're not, the market's not going to allow you to say, oh, well, I can just go buy the next one. And so let's take a look, right? You say, all right, well, what about if we go to July? What does it look like in July? Well, if we go to July, you're going to see that you're nowhere near where you got to be. You got to be thinking to buy the 25 calls, you got to be thinking something like 45, 50. And that may work, but it's going to push you out that curve. It's going to push you out on this chart. It's not going to make it easy to say, oh, you think it's going to 40? That's great. It's got to go to 40 by March. If it goes to 40 by, what's the date that we used here? We said July, 40 is not going to work, on a risk reward basis. It's not going to work. It's telling you you're not high enough to be in the leverage area where you need to be. You're not high enough. On top of that, and the reason why is a lot of it has to do with the volatility. See this number right here, 100, 130. It's really high. It should be high. I mean, the stock is moving at massive clips, but with options, implied volatility is giving you a gauge of how expensive something is. That right now at 100 vol, it's very difficult to make money when you're trading 120, 150 vol implied vol. Now, I don't look at that to make my decision, but I look at that as a gauge. I'm looking at price, my confidence level, because that's the next thing. My confidence level is going to move the thing, right? I'm looking at price, my confidence level, and I'm trying to analyze, like Luca's doing, analyze the technicals. I'm trying to figure out where could it go. I'm going to take that. Now I got that number without looking at the options. I don't want to look at it. But I'm going to take that number. I'm going to have a certain confidence level. Maybe this is Luca's best setup. This is my favorite setup. This is the one. I love it. I love it. And it's going to 47. And then you look at it and say, okay, 47 works. You can buy the 25s better than stock. You can buy the 25s at 584, and be okay with it. That's the right one for your thinking. That's what this machine does. It sort of puts things into perspective, and it slows the game down for you because everybody just wants to flip around options and buy something. Let me give you an example. Like a guy like Steve Cohen or Bill Ackman, they would never buy an option. You can call them up and say, oh, I have this great option, this great play. We can buy it for $2. And and he's gonna say, well, how much can I make? He's like, well, you'll be able to sell it for $3. That's not something that they want to play. If they're gonna buy an option with leverage for $2, they want to hear that they could sell it for $6. Right? 5.5, 6, 7, 8. Anything else, they're not playing. And that's the psyche of the top guys in the world. Whereas, right now you look at people like, oh, I'll pay 580. And then if it goes up, I'll sell it at 620. Not the game that they're playing. Because at the end of the day, you're fighting too many things with the options. You're fighting time decay. Okay. You're fighting the delta. If you're wrong, that's going to push. You're fighting a lot of things. What they're looking at is saying, I pay 2, I make 6. What type of probability is that? They're looking at it. I have high confidence in this. I'm in. That's how they're making their decisions. So that's what this machine is doing. So AI, going out further, no good, but this is a name that could explode. I mean, he has that chart. You look at that chart, like you said, it could explode quickly. So
182 a year ago. It was 182.
Exactly. I mean, this is like, so this is something that, it's trading at nothing compared to us, and it's waking people up. So these names here where the short interest is high, where the float is low, where there's a lot of momentum, Lord knows where they can go, right? You look at the GME, the GameStop, the AMCs, the Triple BY. I mean, Triple BY was about to declare bankruptcy, then it shot up 150% for good measure. You don't know. It's these names become like ping pongs, and so with the options, they get to price these things high. So what the option is essentially doing, if you look at the straddle, for March, the 25 straddle is, let's call it 3.25 and 390. So that's 715. So you're looking at 715 around $25. That's not cheap. I mean, you're talking about 1 month, they're charging you 36% of the company, you know what I mean? For a potential move. So they're pricing it up there, and it becomes difficult to make money here. So you got to be very, what this machine does is forces everyone to be very specific. Otherwise, it'll just push you to stock and say, you know what, play it. If it breaks 27, I think the level was, buy it, get in, stop yourself $1 lower because you're trying to make 5, 6 up. and so now you got a nice trade where the risk reward is in your favor.
Should
So
we give
again,
some
this
targets
machine,
for AI?
AI, what's your targets?
Should we give some targets?
Yeah, please.
Okay, here they go. 29, 33, 38, possibly 43.
Let's see something. Hold on one second. Let's see. I want to see something here too, because I'm looking at, it's crazy. This stock is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, look at the volume just
Yeah, I mean, this is,
last month.
so this is, this move, I could see how this move right here is, this is your move here, and it's found this level. So you got to respect that it found some level. If this level holds again, and then you have what's going to be basically look like this, you're going to have something that looks, let's call it something that looks like this, right? And it breaks, like Luca's saying, this thing could start, parallel line straight up. You start moving, something like that. It can move is basically the point. You have a 31 to 20 range here, 31 to 20, it's $11. You break 31, you can get up to 40 bucks. Not this week, probably, but over time, the more it starts working there, right? The more it starts sticking in this area right here, right? The more it's in there, the more it's telling you that the potential to make another move, that's another $10 to $20 higher, is there, right? Because if it was going to come straight down, it would just immediately come straight down. And that's why Tesla, something like, in the same vein, Tesla, it's scary. It's got to be scary for shorts because, when stocks don't go like this for 2 years, although they did in 2020, 21, but this is a scary move for, if you're short Tesla, this has got to be a scary move. You're telling me after going up $110, it only was able to go down 20? That's scary. I mean, if you're short the stock, you got to have your head examined here going, do I really want to be short this thing? Because damn, like it shouldn't, it's almost like it shouldn't be there. It should, anytime you're saying to yourself, it shouldn't be there, it should have gone down. That's the signal going, you got to be really careful, really careful. So that's my 2 cents on, I don't do the day trading thing. I'm more of like trying to find these spots for 2 months where people could like play a game and play it on the long side. I mean, one name that I just let out was, I'll give you an example of how, I'm thinking, because I'm trying to add a little bit of fundamentals to the story. I'm trying to, with Tesla, Master Plan 1. This one is MP Materials. I'd like to hear Luca. Luca, while I'm talking, you look at this chart and tell me what you think. MP Materials. Okay. So MP Materials is basically in the rare earth minerals business. Okay. And the idea for MP is that the stock has come down and they in the rare earth minerals business. It's the only working mine in the United States. Okay. The government just gave them money to build this processing facility. So they take the minerals out of the ground in their mine in California. And I think it's Mountain Pass and outside of Bernardino. They take the minerals out and then they got to ship it all to China. So they can process it, bring it back. When they bring it back, then they sell it. So the Department of Defense says, obviously, it's a security risk now. Everything going on with China. We need our supply chains in the United States. They're the only mine. So they gave them money to do a processing facility in Texas. That was over the last 18 months. About a year ago, GM started talking to them about a contract. They did this long contract with GM. GM is doing it with them. Why? Because the IRA bill, the Inflation Reduction Act, just basically said that you have to buy American. So they're not going to give GM these credits or money, okay, unless GM starts buying its batteries in the United States. GM says, well, we need the rare earth minerals too, as part of these magnets. And so everybody's trying to shore up, these contracts with all these different minerals. There's lithium, everything. Okay. Well, rare earth is one of them for magnets. And now the DOD is giving these guys money. So in a snapshot, to me, it sounds like a monopoly. I'm the only mine. The government's giving me money to build out the supply chain. The government's going to buy rare earth material from me, plus all the contractors, auto contractors, and wind turbine guys, they're going to buy rare earth minerals for me as well, because they want to get the money from the government as well. So everybody's trying to get money from the government, which is pushing MP right in the middle. So this to me was something that I looked at, long-term graph again, but I'm looking at this 28 level, okay? Seemed like a level for me that was interesting. It was coming down, and once it did this, I saw call buying right here, okay? Call buying right there for the upside, and I waited, and when it did this here, it came here and then shot back through, that's when I jumped on board. So we bought calls right here, and we're writing some calls, and you know, this idea to me, we're writing for earnings, but which is in the next week. It's already made 100%. It's come off. It's coming shooting back up. But this is something that is interesting to me. The chart looked decent. I waited. It was coming off. When the guy bought calls, it was coming off. We only bought sort of what Luca was doing with the Tesla, right? What was going down, you don't like to catch falling knives, but when it came back and turned that pivot level, now I got excited, said, let me get back into this. Let me look at this again. And, you know, we're going to buy some calls. So we bought calls right around here, and now we're just playing earnings. But I think long-term, this is something that people can look at. That's the story. That's the sexy story. Now it's finding those opportunities to get in. Where do you get in? What's the best levels to get in? You know, I'm not that Luca's the expert there. So, you know, I sort of, you know, went one way and saw something, and I saw good risk reward, and I went with it. So.
And Felix, what do you tell your users in that situation, in terms of buying a call before earnings? Is it
So this one was a January option for March. So great question. You know, meaning the risk is higher, right? It's either going to win or lose.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I usually don't play a lot. You know, it's you know, every once in a while. I don't like that game. You know, it's hard. It's hard to just. I mean, it's like a win-lose type of thing. January, because it was January, it's like January 18th, and I'm buying a March option. I give myself 2 months. I have some time for things to develop. There was some momentum in the stock as it was going through. After it went broke back through 28 here, so we bought it on the 18th. So right when it was coming through here on the 18th, and this was a glitch in the exchange. So it went here and then shot up here. Whenever we hit 100%, some people have it a little bit lower their targets. I'm asking people to take some off. So we're being very methodical. I'm not trying to be like, this is the place to exit. We're getting out right here. Everyone, I teach everyone to start taking some off, you know, and help build a plan for them. So, you know, if I get them into an option that's $1, they know that I don't have to tell you at $2. If the stock goes from $1, the option goes from $1 to $2, I want you to be active. I want you to take something off, take a quarter off, take a third off. Okay, but do something. Don't just sit there and think every option is going to go to 1,000%. They don't. Okay, they don't. And so when you buy it for $1, you buy 3 lots for $1, it goes to 2. I'm telling people, take a third off at $2. When you take a third off at $2, you think about it, you put $3 in the trade, you just took 1 off, you took back $2. You just took back 66% of the money you put in. That's gonna do a couple of things. One, is gonna put some money in your pocket. 2, it's gonna help the stuff between your ears, and not let you get a little crazy, because the more it goes up, the more you start looking at it and focusing. What we're trying to do is keep people from getting siloed into some, one trade that is either working or not working. It's, there's a stop 50% approximately, you use your best judgment. Again, some people who do the best with Options Geek, they're good technicians too. And they're using their technicals to say, you know what, I don't like it anymore. I'll get out and I'll get back in. My job is to give the story, what I think, like the MP, what I think is a good entry, and then play it to a certain point. I give a target price. In this case, my target price was about this level right here, 38 to 40. We bought the 30s for $2.70. That's what it was out, but everybody was able to get in about 220. So buying it for about 220, 230, and then the stock at 36 to 38 would be 6 to 8. Again, that 3, 4 to 1. That's a nice place. So 300%.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of this is just kind of talking to your users and students and making sure that they're learning the risk management techniques as they go, because
It's a big part.
You
Yeah.
don't want somebody to come in and make some decisions that cost them a lot of money. So like, look, if you have profits, take the profits, play it smart. If you don't think it's going to go in the direction, get out. Don't go to the point where you feel like you're kind of gambling a little bit and you're kind of guessing, and like use what you have in terms of the tools that you're showing, in terms of the technical analysis, to make more educated decisions across.
That's right.
Stick
That's
to
right.
the plan.
Stick to the plan. Yeah. That's the so a guy next to me, I think he's always be like, the Pope, he goes, the Pope, you say you have a plan, now you got to actually do it, right? You got to stick to the plan. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, that's all we're trying to do. We're trying to come up with a reason why somebody might be buying options. Like we're following the options flow, right? We're following, Luca mentioned the blocks. I like that idea as well. I don't have a good service to sort of spot it for me, but the blocks, okay, I like that, because the idea is similar. You're looking for institutional buyers. Institutions are the ones that are going to push the stocks up or down. Okay, that's really at the end of the day who's going to push whether it's a group of stocks, an industry, or it's going to push one particular stock. But the idea is when you're seeing these blocks, you have comfort that somebody big is biting on this here for whatever reason. Same thing with the option. When you see a big chunky trade, I'm looking at that chunky trade and I'm analyzing it. I'm trying to figure out why. I've already told you that these guys don't come in every day to buy a lot of options. So when someone comes in to buy an option, I'm thinking, I used to speak to these guys all the time. Why is he coming in today? I had over 20 years, I had so many conversations about why they're doing it. So why might he be coming in right now to buy options in MP? What's going on? Why today? He woke up today. Nobody wakes up today and says, I'm going to buy 5,000 MP calls, right? But today, this guy did. He said, okay, we're going to get into them. Why? Now I got to back it out. I got to back out what he's thinking, why he's thinking it. I'm using the new options chain, right? Because it's a two-way function on the new options chain, right? So I'll show you a little insight that we can get into another time. But if I told you he's buying, let's look at the April 35s, right? The April 35s. I said, say he was buying 5,000 right here, April 35s. That means what? That means the pointer, if this thinks like him, right? If A goes into a box, you stick A into a box and out comes B. What this machine does, it's a two-way function. B can stick it into a box and, and out pops out A. So if he bought let's assume he bought 5,000 of these 35 calls, then that means the pointer got here for him, which means that I would have to find something like 44 or 43. And I'd say, okay, so somewhere between, let's go down, 42, somewhere between 42, even go lower. Okay, so 40 to 44 is kind of like where this guy's thinking, 40 to 43, okay? Because that's the one he bought. So I can back out his logic, his thought on price. Now I go to someone like Luca and say, how do I get to 42, 40? Like, can I get to 41, 42? So I'll leave that to Luca now. What do you think about MP? Where could it go? What's your thoughts? You tell me.
Well, let me take a look. So let me share the chart.
Yeah, you sure.
So
earnings next week.
Yes, the 23rd post-market close. So this is okay. So it's been pulling back for a good part of 2022. And I see the recovery that Felix spotted here around. So, for example, this is a commodity-related stock.
Yes.
I mentioned the 50 SMA. That's the moving average that I tend to pay attention to. With commodities, it's the 34 MA. This is the purple line. So, and interesting enough, this got a bounce off the 34 MA around 31. Nice level. And if we step back, removing all this noise, I see that line that Felix was mentioning. We're through here. Those lows, 2022, 2021, a good base. And just yesterday broke back above the 200 SMA. It's now testing it a bit, so it does have some support. It's not solid enough yet to say this is the place to enter, but it does bring a little bit of confidence as a potential entry. So what I will look for is, let's see, there's a channel top. Let's change this. Actually, let's do this. Those lines right there. So I meet this high right here on June 7, and then the high that came in a few days ago. So I might want to look for a breakthrough this resistance trend line and this recent high. That's somewhere around 35.40, 35.30. So if it breaks and hold this level, these are the targets. So we got 37, 40, and 43. So when in my trading, we generally have 3 targets, and they're based on the level, the resistance level, and also market conditions. So generally in a bullish trade, in a bullish market, we go first target is good, second target, peel some off, half, a third target, cash in. Generally, that's the pattern. Unless we see, like in Tesla, price keeps rising, then we keep raising the stops and the targets, and we have reached 6 targets. But in this case, I don't know MP much, and so I will look for like this channel bottom.
One quick question, Luca. What are these horizontal lines? You click the button, the 2473, 2656. What are those lines?
So those are areas I draw. So I use this software is TC2000. Just drop a line and picks a price level based on history. Just looks back on 10 years, 5 years, depends.
Okay.
And what I like to do is to place equal space between support and resistance, just like you do, Felix, with your geometry. It's all about geometry. I mean, the word is math. The way it works. Right? So and these are floors. Price is the floor, hits the ceiling, breaks the ceiling. Ceiling is too hard. Support and resistance. Right? Yeah. So right now we are seeing a temporary floor around 33.80, and again the ATMA 200 SMA. This is a decent support. I don't get the technicals that strong of a message at the moment, just because things are kind of flat. So I'm expecting a sideways consolidation. But if it breaks through this 35.30, 35.50, then I generally tend to draw a trend line that makes a channel at 25, 30, 35 degree angle, 25, 30, that's the average. And so those are my targets. I got 37, 40, and the channel top will be 43, which kind of meets a little bit the numbers.
Right, well, yeah, it's right where I'm looking at. The 37.40, that's where it needed to be, and that's that's what we're looking for. So it's good.
And it depends how long it takes. So if this thing moves sideways, so I can look the channel top. Okay, so we got March 27, this is February 27, March 6, move sideways. If this angle remains intact and the earnings are positive, we could get a burst in a month, 3 years.
So just to give you some backstory, the guy bought options in November. He was buying the March 35 calls, and he paid $4.20 for the March 35 calls. When the stock looked like in November, it looked like it was starting to about to break higher. So that gave me some reasoning. The target he was looking at was closer to like, high 40s, 50. And so that's part of the story as well. It's like he spent a lot of money buying calls thinking the stock is going to 50, and on the pullback, on the turn, I don't have to think that high, because now I'm getting prices cheaper. So I got to the same area, about 37.40, which was good for me, and it was good for the option that we were picking. So that's it all comes together nicely. So I like it. That's good.
And to go back to the protection.
Yes.
Right? So in this case, the ATMA, that would be my first stop. So if it breaks below the ATMA, which at the moment we're looking at 33, if it breaks below that, you can exit the full position or partial. And then the next level will be the 34 MA, somewhere around 31. So it depends on your risk reward ratio. Right here, it has a potential, is a 34, has a potential to run $9, and you can risk $1 or $3. It's a decent, risk reward ratio.
Yeah.
So it's worth it.
No, I see what you're saying. Yeah, for us, it's almost the same. Like if we got in at 30 and it moves up, it's going to hit these levels. And so you're taking some off just to kind of be in a trade. And then you have a rolling stop. You know, I teach people to have some sort of rolling stop as well. So you're following a trade as it goes up. If it
Like trailing stops?
A trailing stop. Yeah, trailing stop. If it comes back down, 50 to 100%, then from where it was, meaning goes from $1 to $2, you take some off, $2 to $3, you take some off, and then it goes from $3 to $2. You might want to take some the last two off and just say, okay, we're out. But yeah, that's good. So that's how we're looking at it. And I mean, I can go through any one of these, but essentially, the story for us, the story does play a little bit. It's not like I wouldn't pick a stock and just like even AI. I'm not just going in there to buy options because of the chart. I'm going in there to buy options if I see that the chart's there. I'm seeing an actual institution come in to buy. I haven't used the blocks, although that would mean the same. That would be similar to what you're doing. I tend to use the options because I understand that game. And
they work together. I also look at the option flow.
Yeah. So I just don't have that ability to see it as much. And sometimes I don't, to be honest, I don't have a ton of experience knowing the nuances, because some of these things, it's about nuance. I'm sure you've done it for a long time. You see a block and oh, that one's good, or no, before this time, that's no good, or, and so those things do help in framing the idea.
Yeah, trading is all based about those. So we look at for the block orders and how the option flow are coming in, because the block orders, they tell you that there is a position. You don't know if it's bullish or bearish. It's just a large position. And then depending on where it break, looking at the technicals, and all these things, I teach these things.
How about this? Tell me. Let's look if maybe we finish off with the SPY.
The SPY?
Yeah. Sure. What do you think of the SPY? Tell me what's going on there.
The SPY is sleepy. There's no direction at the moment, and it's showing a bit of a weakness. So this is a consolidation, and it's still below this resistance trend line. So let's see if we can take, so basically this level right here.
Yeah.
Okay, so flag top, okay? And it's still there. So it's this level right here. Until it breaks and goes and holds, this is gonna consolidate. There was an inflation report today. Prices are climbing again a little bit, so that wasn't good. And at the moment, I'm looking at the ATMA, which is currently falling. So, and you see the volume, the OBV is pointing down, volume is weak. So I'm expecting a sideways move with the support for the moment, the 400 level. If it breaks this trend line, again, that's a flag top, that's a big resistance. 421, 431, and then the channel top somewhere around 442. That's a stretch. I don't know if he'll do it. I'm expecting 2023 to be sideways move with some dips. I don't see bullish energy. There's just too much tension. There was a 3200 level on the S&P 500. That is basically, let's see here. No, where is it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that was the basically the beginning of the pandemic. 338.64. We haven't touched that. It went down here this day. That was October. He didn't touch it. So there's a possibility it will go down there again and make sure that the pandemic is behind us.
Gotcha.
It's a big speculation and it's a big drop because we're talking.
No, I'm with you.
Points.
Let me show you what I'm looking at.
Sure.
And then we'll end it there. Okay, let's see here. Ready? Screen.
Here we go. Stop.
Can I open? Okay, there we go. All right, so Chrome, Google Chrome. All right. You can see mine, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I tend to look, again, I'll just go back to the weekly and just to keep myself sane, but we have the same picture there. So what I tend to do is, let's go here. So for me, I was following this line, okay? And I kind of looked at it like this, like this, like this, parallel, parallel,
Mhm.
parallel, this, like this, and like this. So we ended up here. And then you could see that this, let's see here, this was starting to turn a little bit here. And then we got this up here, and this sort of started going this way. I'm not sure. I mean, I hate the market. I don't really like it, but you know, I do respect charts. So, you know, I do respect that this thing could, I'm looking at it. I don't know how the heck it would do it, but I'm looking at it, and I'm just show you this. You know, I'm saying to myself, okay, can it do that? You know, right around to 435. Can this ABC shoot up here? What you would then have essentially is, because this is a mammoth, you know, type of trade here. So maybe you have this. I'm going to draw a smaller scale here. So you have something that looks like this, and then down like this, then up like this. You know, so all of this is this noise around one line. And then this is this move back up, right? Which is, you know, somewhat parallel to this, right? So you got this, and then you get this move down this way, which would get us back to, I don't see how we don't get to, I'm thinking in my mind, I'm thinking somewhere around here for good measure. I've even said, you know, I do some fundamental stuff to just say, I think earnings are going to come off and blah, blah, blah. You could talk all the macro you want. I mean, but I think there's something in it here. I thought we would do this and then shoot down. I thought this would shoot down. It did not. So I want to think here, but I'm respecting the fact that this is possible here. I don't know how the hell I would do it, but I'm respecting the fact that it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
Or
And
35.
just to clarify, I share the same feelings, but it needs to break, because for me, it hasn't break. I used to have the same line that Felix just drew.
Yeah.
And I redraw it just to incorporate the current breakout, because, you know, the technicals, frankly, are still bullish in terms of the large.
Yeah, it's
400, 200
this is
SMA,
good.
50
Yeah.
SMA, it's bullish.
Yeah.
But
Like what you're saying here is it's you know, this is a good, this is something I'm sure you're looking at right here, this
Yeah.
range. But again, it goes up, you know, I'm always saying, like, it goes up and it doesn't go down. It's, you know, this goes up here, shoots down quickly, gets everybody out, and then makes another move. This is gonna, to me, this has got not much more time before it's got to make a decision to go here or really start making a move down. And if it makes its move down, if it starts making its move down, then you could see this line right here comes into play. And I think even it would break here to more towards like this here, 375, 365 first before it zigzags up. That's just my idiot opinion.
a good one. A good one.
But that's, you know, when you look at the beauty about it is, and I think Luca would attest to, is that, Mike, nobody knows where the market's going, right? I mean, nobody knows.
Designed to be that way.
Yeah. So what you're doing is you're simply trying to use some level of understanding what's going on in the world, put some logic to that, although it's everything going on right now. Even the smartest guys in the world are getting it really wrong, you know? And so, you know, there's a lot going on, you know, and you're trying to use your best judgment and using levels, price levels. And that's the beauty of technical analysis, right? It's showing you price and volume, and there's only truth in that. People could talk about where the market's going up or down, but at the end of the day, you'll hear some of the best traders in the world. They say, trade what you see, not what you think. The market's going up right now. It goes up every single day. Until it stops doing that, you got to be thinking, long. That is a basic fundamental thought that any trader will tell you. I think it's going way lower. I don't understand how it's here, but you know what? We have some puts for protection, but I'm trying to find some long ideas until the market says, no good, we're going down. That's how you do it. In the last 4 months, it's been very difficult because it's been doing the opposite of whatever, when it's going down, it moves so fast before you can turn it, you wind up turning it. The ship, day trading is people getting out, you can get back in. And that's probably better in the last 3 months, because when you're moving the ship,
tension for sure.
Yeah, when you're moving the ship is got, you're going, you're on the Titanic. You're like, we're going to make some money. We're going up. And all of a sudden you hit an iceberg, or the iceberg's coming. To move that ship so fast, it's really, really difficult to do. Very, very difficult. Very difficult. And then all of a sudden you're like, damn, you get hit. Okay, you start getting out, you're taking in water, you get in. All right, we get the next Titanic. We're going in. Okay, now we're going down. We're going down. By the time you get the Titanic going down, there's another iceberg coming. You're like, oh my God, going back. That's what's been going on. And things have been moving very quick. And so, the timing of this stuff is been a lot. There's been a lot of shift to a technical analysis of like, is this the right time to get in or not? So that's where that skill comes into play. And then the options, I've tried to make it easy, as you see with the options. It's like simple, stupid. All you need to tell me is the direction. You need to tell me and we could go through it on other ideas next time. But we need timing, direction, and some confidence level, and then a good understanding of what the machine is doing, so that we can use it to our advantage.
Well, I really appreciate it, you guys. Thank you for coming on today. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with everybody. And I'll definitely have some names for next time that I want to hear about, and hopefully we can catch up in a few days or next week. So
sounds good.
Fastly.
Thank you.
Oh, fastly. Yeah, fastly. That's it. Do I got to be long this stock or no? Fastly. Do I got to be long or what?
It depends.
On a pullback.
Right now has a potential, lots of potential.
Fast. I'm going to look at it.
It's going to pull back, but there's a lot of potential.
Okay, I'm going to look
150 to 7. So now
okay.
it's 17.
All right. I'm going to look at it. Be good. Thank you, guys.
Okay, guys. Thank you. We'll see you next time. Good trading.